I believe we all have that ember of leadership in us. We were born with it. And it's just a matter of having someone speak that leadership into you, and through that breathy speaking, blowing on those embers so that they can learn about all of their strengths.
Welcome to Women Talk Tech, the podcast for business professionals committed to advancing women in the tech sector.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Women Talk Tech. I'm your host, Wiese. And today, my guest is Ginger Eklund. And Ginger is the Director of Project Management at a company called DynamicWeb. But she is so much more than a project manager. And she's going to describe all of that to us. Welcome to the show, Ginger.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here.
Now, we always start with the question, take us back to Ginger in high school. What were you doing? And what was your thoughts on a career in tech? Is that what you were thinking? Where were you at?
Yeah, high school for me was during a pretty uncertain time, actually just regionally where I am in the South. It was really a time of learning that you needed to get along with people. You needed to make sure that you had good collaboration with people. And it was just an odd time to be also trying to learn. So I believe that probably part of that experience in high school, as we know, everything in life, it's just a building step to the next one. But part of that experience in high school really led me to believe and understand and experience how there are opportunities for all of us. There are little embers inside of all of us that we can either have people around us that blow on those embers and ignite them, or throw water on them or something else that's not very positive and try to squish it out. So I think that is part of my formative years, just learning that, and gave me the stepping stones for the next stages in my life and in my careers.
What were you thinking about back then as far as what you were going to do? Did you go to school for something specific? We always hear the story. I went to school for film and theater production, which is my backstory. And then I wound up in tech. So what was your story?
So I wanted to be a teacher. I really wanted to be part of developing other minds and other people. So I got a degree in education. I started teaching and found out that the classroom was not the place for me. But helping the teachers and helping them become more effective and stronger leaders, that's really where I started to find my strength early on in my careers. Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about your role at DynamicWeb. What are you doing there these days? Tell us about what the company does, and then tell us about your role there.
Sure. Well, let me tell you a little bit about DynamicWeb. It's an amazing company. We have a sister company in Denmark as well. Denmark Group, they created this amazing platform for e-commerce websites. So it's an all-in-one great package for medium-sized companies to be able to have an online store. We work very closely with brilliant developers who are able to create that platform, and then also with, to me, it's just magical, integration engineers and integration developers to bring in that data. So I always say that the heart of a good e-commerce website is really the data. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just a really pretty site, right?
That's right.
It's just nice pictures and things like that. So as a project manager, what I do, and I'm a non-technical project manager, so I'm really, and the rest of the team that I guide, because they don't need to be led. They're such strong leaders, but I just guide them. We work with both the people and the processes around managing a project to make sure that it gets delivered successfully and to the satisfaction of a customer.
So which sounds like a very important role to me. I can't think of a more important role.
Right. Well, we love it. We're all fortunate enough to be very innately project managers, regardless of whether that was our title or our certifications or our professional training. We all just kind of get it. And because of that, it's pretty fun to be a project manager at DynamicWeb.
Now, you have very specific thoughts about leadership. Share those thoughts with our audience.
I do. So if you ask me, Ginger, what's your passion? And I would say I create environments where leaders can be born. Because just as I said before, I believe we all have that ember of leadership in us. We were born with it. And it's just a matter of having someone speak that leadership into you, and through that breathy speaking, blowing on those embers so that they ignite and flare, and putting them in positions where they can be successful and they can grow, and they can learn about all of their strengths through just blowing on that ember. And then also making sure that we set them up for success so that even inadvertently, water doesn't get thrown on the fire and then start to squash out that leadership challenge. So everything from working with developers in Portugal where they can also speak English. I'm always amazed at people who can speak more than one language. And what a great thing to celebrate with those developers, that they can speak another language to communicate with me so that I can then make sure that the project's more successful.
Absolutely.
So yeah, giving the leaders in us, the small leader in us, big opportunities to grow and shine and get stronger. That's kind of my jam. I love that.
Now tell me how you see the leadership development, race, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think there's a lot of organizations that over the last few years were just struggling to get by, struggling to survive during turbulent times. And they put a lot of things aside. Did you see people struggling a little bit more with leadership development and bringing people close? Or did you see maybe a new renewal in all of this because we had to work so hard to do it in a remote way? Are you seeing dramatic change in the last few years?
Oh, there definitely has been change because of COVID, and we're a company, all of us work remote. So that wasn't a big change for us, but our customers were changing. And depending on their industry, they were either flourishing because of what they sold was what people wanted to do while they were at home, or their organizations may have, or their business may have been community related, and then the community couldn't come together. So we saw that change with our customers. For our internal customers, our team, to me, it gave us a chance to actually really focus on more of the development of leadership and more of how can we grow stronger, how can we dig deeper, how can we become better. And we had to take that in small incremental steps, of course, but just the opportunity to take that time where some things were pausing, other things were running much faster, depending on the industry of our customers, to be able to open up pages or little corners where we could dig in a little bit better to become stronger as individuals and professionals.
Why do women still feel that they need 100% of the qualifications required to apply for a job when men apply for these same positions with only 60%? What does ambition mean today for women, and how has that evolved in the workforce over time? Here at Women Talk Tech, we've been thinking a lot about the idea of ambition, and we want to hear from you. That's why we've launched the Women Talk Tech Ambition Survey, to understand how ambition factors into the progression of women in the workforce. So, what does ambition mean to you? Take the anonymous survey now and let us know. Find the survey link in the show notes below or on the Women Talk Tech LinkedIn page.
Right. Now, I know you're a big supporter of women in tech, and I know that you do a lot of work to bring your team along and encourage other people to join. What's your sales pitch, so to speak, when you talk to women about considering a career in tech? What do you tell them?
Well, I would tell them, we are so amazing. I have such admiration and respect for my male counterparts and professionally. But in general, I just believe that women are amazing human beings. And there's so much more that we have had to find the capacity to do between all of our different roles. We're women, we're mothers. Some of us, we're women, we're mothers, we're friends, we're sisters, we're daughters. We're professionals, we're leaders, we're subordinates. We run the gamut, and we have the capacity to do that so well. So it's really an encouragement to make sure you find what speaks well for you. What are you doing in your job that comes easy, natural, and fun? And if you can find that way and massage the other responsibilities you have to have that sense of joy and celebration, find it, do it, work it in, make it happen. And whether that's in technology or a non-technical person like myself in a technology world, find that way to do that. Find your space. Now,
if you were a young woman today and sorry sorry to put it that way, but if you were just started out your career,
platinum blonde. By
yes,
the way.
exactly. myself included in that. But if you were starting out your career, what would you tell a young woman to look for as she's going out to find her first job in tech?
I would say learn the most you can about yourself. There's some great personality surveys out there. There's strengths finders that I really love that you can find not your weaknesses, but your strengths and what are they. I would read books, personality assessments, talk to other people, and before you get into tech, make sure that's really your fit. Make sure you understand what does working in tech mean, and what are your goals, not just for this first job, but for the next 5 jobs after that. Make sure that it's going to fit your personality, fit who you are, fit. In technology, a lot of times, depending on what role you're in, you could be a solution architect and be able to go out and have lots of great communication and collaboration with customers and be really in an extrovert type of position. You could choose, or maybe that just doesn't energize you. Maybe being a coder is more like it, where you really just want to be alone, have your headset on, and creating code for the different type of projects that you're working on. So there's such a vast variety of what's happening in the tech world, and it doesn't all have to be technical, but you still can influence and promote it.
Right. And you just hit on a great point. This is a point I'm always trying to make with women in general about the tech sector is I think there's a place for everyone, regardless of your skills. And when I talk to a lot of young women, they get the idea that tech is about being a coder in the basement with your hoodie on.
Right.
And I think, the more women I meet like yourself who are proving that that's not the case, that there's a spot for everybody in tech. And the point I try to make is that, tech is driving our way forward. It's forging a path, and it is shaping our world more profoundly than it ever has before. And definitely we saw that over the last 3 or 4 years that, there's been no more profound change than what we've just come through in my lifetime anyways. And so that's why we need women at the table. We need everyone at the table. We need diversity. Right. We need inclusion so that everybody's voice is being heard. And it's not just, the voice of a couple of really smart programmers at Google or Amazon who are shaping the future. We all need to be there. And in particularly as the new tech is upon us, we've had a lot of conversations at my company about artificial intelligence as an example. And is it going to kill the hopes and dreams of the artist? Because, there's these machines trying to replicate what a human can create. But I think there's so many places for people, even artists, that everybody should be, considering a career in tech at some point in their life. I think we can't avoid it either. Even if even if you were a person who loved retail and fashion, and I mean, you see it in your own customers. There's all roads are going to lead back to tech at some point.
They are. I believe they probably already do. Honestly,
right?
Yeah, you can take a look at even. When you go to church, there's technology. They've got screens up. They're showing, everything. There's technology all around us. So whether there's no avoiding it at this point. So some people have a hard time with that, especially those who are, a little older, a little mature. They have a hard time with that, and you can't. You have to open yourself up and embrace it. So as you said, there's so much for someone to do in the world of tech, and it needs to be, it's there, it's honest.
Yes.
So let's just dive in. We're amazing. We can do this. And it's not even hard. The other thing I want to say is for technology is there is a certain rawness to technology, data. And what we are going to need and what we need and what our company at DynamicWeb does, it's intentional why I'm not a technical person, is because there's a soft touch. We're never going to get away from being able to relate to other people and have the soft skills to be able to have conversations like this and have connection with customers, be able to empathize with their situation, be able to become passionate about what their goals are. And that is not technology. That's more of empathy, sympathy, relational. And again, so when you're doing that self-assessment and seeing what really is your strengths, consider that even though coding isn't what you really want to do, but every company needs the people person.
Right. Absolutely. Now, could you leave for our listeners maybe a recommendation from a book perspective? Have you read any good leadership books lately, or any books lately that you think were something our listeners should go out and pick up?
Yeah, I love Dare to Lead. I love Brené Brown. I think she's amazing. Again, just the opportunity to get out there, lead with courage, make sure that you understand your value system, and never, ever jeopardize that in the work that you're doing. I love her. I actually did a leadership summit with my own PM team back in August, and that was the focus, was Dare to Lead. And as women, I think that can be kind of hard, in a man's world. But I don't think technology is a man's world anymore. I think that it's about, the women are in there, and we're growing in the tech world.
I want to believe that. The numbers still aren't where we would like it to be, but I think we got to keep driving on and not worrying about that, and just worrying about reaching as many people as possible and helping them understand there's a place for them in tech. I'm also a huge Brené Brown fan. I use a lot of her work in my teaching people how to do presenting and finding their own personal why. And I think she's got some really great. She's got a really great way of approaching it. I know she comes at it as a researcher, but she's so much more than that. So I think that's a great recommendation. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Ginger, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your progress at DynamicWeb. I know you probably have a lot more you want to do, and I thank you for it. Thanks for not just being a great project manager, but a great leader and leading the charge on this.
Thank you. It's my passion and my privilege. I appreciate the time.
You've been listening to another episode of Women Talk Tech. I'm your host, Marie Wiese, and please do take part in our ambition survey. We're trying to ask women what their definition of ambition is today, how they think about ambition, what ambition means to them, and I really hope you'll take part in our survey. And as always, thank you so much.